This is Danica Hansen reporting for the Courier Mail. Today I'm on Bartle Road in Umbilo, on the banks of the Umbilo River. I'm here today with Jonathan Erasmus, the KwaZulu-Natal representative for the Water Can project. As you can see, he is busy collecting a sample of river water, and he's now going to take us through the process of testing this water for both bacterial and chemical contaminants.
We've got a number of tests that we're doing here. We're doing 2 bacterial tests, one for E. coli and one for coliform. Coliform is animal waste and plant waste that obviously is in water bodies. And then we're also going to do a series of chemical tests, which are, if you zoom in here, these are these little dipsticks here. Of course, they all give different parameters towards the quality and the health and the safety of water. This is a sample that I've just taken from the Umbilo River. And I've just taken it literally 5 minutes ago. Normally, if you take a sample, you either got to deal with it fairly quickly or obviously put it in like a cold pack until you get your final destination where you're going to be doing your test, because you obviously want to keep the temperature constant. The thing is, with anything that you're testing bacterial, the ability of it to manifest due to warmth increases. That's why you've got to keep these samples cool. Okay. So what we're testing now, this is what we call our 6-point test. I just put it in for about 5 seconds, plus minus. Alright, take it out. That will take about 3 minutes to come to terms. What we're testing there is hardness, chlorine, bromine, and alkalinity. Now, each of these obviously play a vital role in water health. Too much of one is obviously bad. What we're going to do for the second sample, this is phosphates. Now, phosphates are something that you'll find a lot in fertilizers. So obviously high levels of this means you probably got high runoff of phosphate into your river system, and you obviously don't want too much of that coming in. So once again, we just dip it in. We're going to wait for that to change its color, and then we've got metals. I think that's kind of self-explanatory. Any type of metal in the nickel, magnesium, any type of metal that you have in the water system, it will reflect here. So when you get into more detailed testing, you can actually start testing for those particular compounds. But this is obviously a citizen activist kind of water testing kit, so we try and make it as simple as possible. So lastly, nitrate and nitrite. Once again, kind of compounds that you'll find in fertilizer. All right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to test for the bacterials. So we've got we've got 2 tests for bacterial. We've got the coliform test, which is animal and plant waste that's in the water. This is a true or false kind of test. If the water goes black after 48 to 72 hours, it means there's high levels of coliform, which is explained as animal waste and plant waste. And if it stays clear, of course, then there's none. This is a very good test for drinking water. Like, you shouldn't have any of that in your drinking water. This, on the other hand, essentially tests mainly for E. coli. You get dots on this little film. So if you come in here, you'll see there's this is a little film that we're going to put water on. We're going to put about a milliliter of water on here, and then we're going to close it, make sure there's no air pockets, and then we'll leave that in the sun for about a day and a half, 2 days, and that'll start giving us a reading. We're going to culture the E. coli. It's actually going to be alive and creating itself quite easily. I get my syringe, take my water in, just make sure there's no air in here. Okay, and then I'm going to take the kind of water out as much as I can. Okay, we're going to just pull back this little screen. I'm going to plump this water in nice and evenly all along here. Okay, and then I'm going to slowly just push this down and help it spread. And then this one has got a little kind of piece of paper in here that obviously does the test.
Okay.
We fill this 3/4. Here we go. And put the lid back on. This I am going to put in a dark space for the next day and a half. That helps it culture. Okay. And I'll give it a shake. Let's take a look at the chemical results quickly. We've got a high level of pH, as you can see, which is obviously not great. Once again, high levels of anything are not good, specifically for people immunocompromised. Then we've got total alkalinity is also very high. Having an alkalinity content is not great. You probably and that is something that's probably got to do with waste upstream. We've got low bromine, so that's great. Bromine's kind of just one of these kind of measures that we check. Has no direct effect, but it obviously paints to a bigger picture. We've got very low, let's see, I think we've got about a 0.5 of free chlorine. So there's minimal chlorine in this water. Free chlorine, and total chlorine is also only about 1 part. It's pretty much within the safe, probably in the safe range. If we look at the phosphate test, it's not really changing particularly well, but I'd imagine it sits somewhere over here. So you've got 25 parts per millimeter of phosphates in here, or ppm as they call it. That's all right. I think we're fairly safe over there. The hardness level is probably around about 50 to 100. That's not at a satisfactory level, and that is something I think would need deeper inspection as to why that's taking place. So it's actually between 50 and 100.
Okay.
And then lastly, these colors seem to be slightly going off here, but what I think we can probably put them around here, 0.5 and 0.8, in fairly safe levels. So what we're actually seeing here is that the kind of the fertilizer type of content, nitrite, nitrate, phosphate, is quite low, but we do have a high metal content, which is not great, which probably need a deeper inspection. We've also got very low chlorine. We take this type of data, we put it into an app that we've developed, and it kind of pumps out the results. It kind of gives us a full breakdown it gives us a full picture of the water quality at that point. So what I'll do is I'll go and enter this onto the app a bit later, make sure these details are recorded correctly, and then with that information, we'll be able to make a more kind of discernible decision on the quality here. And of course, then lastly, we'll just have to wait 2 days for those to come through.